Hey guys, Joe here and doing a video on a graphics card. Gee, he does a lot of those. Yes, I do. The reason being is because I go through a lot of graphics card. In fact, let me show you what I have sitting over here. Here's an RX 560, already gone. I thought it would be okay, but I forgot the 560 doesn't use an additional power adapter, so it doesn't overclock very well. And in fact, it barely works as well as a GT 1030. Sorry to say that out loud, but it's true. Here's a GTX 660, already sold. Goes towards that video, which isn't ready yet because I'm waiting for a couple of things to finish. And there is a GTX 670. Again, already sold. So that brings me to that card. Can you identify it from a glance? Well, if you read the title, you probably understand what it is already. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is a GTX 780. Not a Ti, but it is a 780 with the Asus DirectCu 2 cooler. Would you believe me if I told you I own it for less than $10? Because I do. And here's how. As I've extolled many times on this channel, you need to look for deals. You need to keep your eyes open. You need to find deals. Everything on this computer is a find. Nothing is new except for that SSD that you can't even see anymore. That was the only new part I bought for this computer, ever. And yeah, it works. Trust me, it works good. The graphics card is a Craigslist find. It was listed, and I'll show you the ad real quick. As you can see from the ad, it says it needs a cooler, and he went into description on how he tried to disassemble it to change the thermal compound, and he broke it, so he thought. Now, for those of you that don't regularly take apart a graphics card, let me show you what he said was wrong with it. This is a graphics card cooler for a GTX 770. Do you see these little pins, areas right here where my finger's pointing? Those are used to secure the PCB to the heatsink, and then you mount fans on this side and whatever on the back. But these are what keep the pressure of the cooler onto the GPU die. Well, one of those is actually missing on that graphics card. Here's the thing though. That graphics card is so well designed, it only needed 3. I originally was going to drill and tap the aluminum of the heatsink in order to run a longer screw in there, put a spacer in there and recreate it that way, but I don't have to, so I'm not going to. The other thing was, this is not the original fan. This is actually a PNY fan that I put a piece of tape over the label on because the original fan had a bad bearing on it and it was making all kinds of noise. So I wired this fan using the wire end off of the original Asus fan, and it ramps up perfectly. It works perfectly. In fact, you can listen here. Once I replaced the fan, put good thermal compound on it, and secured the cooler back on there, fired up, no problemo. You'll also notice that I have it mounted vertically again, like I did my old P5 build. I did this because why not? My buddy, Chris, who I've mentioned in videos kind of mockingly or funny-wise, had the last Thermaltake GPU riser that I had sold him, and he was thinking about using it for one of his builds, but I kind of wanted it, so I traded him a Nintendo Wii Mini that you saw in this video. This camera's weird. It always puts me where I shouldn't be. Let me show you how I own this card so cheaply. The 670, which I've had for quite a while, I already sold. Don't know how well you can see it, but I got $75 for it. And after the fees come out, that's like $67.50, but I got $10 shipping. It costs $3 to ship it, so I got $70.50. So I am into this card for $9.50. It's a 3 GB card. It's not a Ti, but it smashes everything that I want to play in 1080p. And when I say smash, I mean at 1080p high, I'm getting over 100 FPS average on everything except for Batman, of course, because that's limited to 90. And now for some performance numbers. In GTA 5, I was getting between 110 and 120 FPS. This was at 1080p with a mix of normal and high settings, but with population density and variety turned all the way up. It never dropped below 90 FPS, making for a very smooth game. In Sleeping Dogs, the FPS varied a little bit more, but was very smooth nonetheless. At 1080p with all settings on high, I was seeing an average of 100 FPS with dips into the high 80s. The game appears to be less optimized than Grand Theft Auto 5, even though it is older. In CSGO, I was able to get between 220 and 250 FPS with all settings maxed at 1080p. The frame rate never dropped below 155, again making for a very enjoyable experience. The last game I played was Forza Horizon 3. It is my favorite game as it gives a large variety of vehicles for those of us that are car enthusiasts. However, it seems to be the least optimized game that I own, as the settings had to be set at 1080p medium just to stay between 60 and 70 FPS. There were frequent drops into the high 50s, and I noticed that the CPU was barely running over 50%. This means that the GPU was bottlenecking, as it was at a 100% the whole time I was playing. Also, this title doesn't support SLI, and that's kind of funny to me, being that it is a current title and that an SLI setup would give much better frame rates. In conclusion, this card, the 780 by Asus, is still relevant in 2018 gaming. This is only a 3 gig card, it's not a TI card. However, because it's not a reference card, it has a 10-phase power delivery system, has a better cooler, has a better heatsink, and it runs better. The overclocks were good, the frame rates were great for what I do, and if you're on a tight budget, you can get one of these that you don't have to repair for anywhere from 150 to 170 bucks. And that sounds like a lot, but a 780, when you overclock it, is equivalent to a 970. And 970s, of course, they only have 3.5 gigabytes of available VRAM anyway, so you're not really giving that much up. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that, yes, a 780 is much more power hungry than a 970, but again, who cares? If you're a gamer, if you're a tinkerer, if you're an overclocker, you're going to have a better power supply anyways. 850 watt, more than enough to run this card. I can run 3 of them probably off of an 850 watt. So that's about it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Any comments, leave them down below. If there's something you want to know about how I fix cards or anything of this sort, drop me a line. I have this video getting put together right now. As I said before, I'm waiting for one thing to finish selling, and once it's sold, I'll know exactly what I have into the system. At that point, I'll edit and upload that video. So. Also, don't forget to subscribe, become a Patreon if you'd like to. You can click over here to watch another video. And if you'd like to reach out, send me a message. I'll answer them all. Thank you very much. And, as always, I'll talk to you later.